Hey everyone! Alright, so this is just going to be a quick video on how to depot any kind of product that comes in like a container where like you have to actually open it to get to the product. A lot of lines nowadays carry like propans where it's just the pan of whatever product and you don't have to get the actual like compact with it. But even lines like that, when they come out with like limited edition colors or anything like that, 9 times out of 10 they're going to come in this, and you won't be able to get it in a pro pan form, so you're going to have to buy the packaging anyways. But a perk, or multiple perks, of actually just having the pan of product, if you just buy the pro pan, it's cheaper because you're not paying for all this extra packaging. So in the long run, you're going to end up saving a lot of money. Now, the perk of depotting everything that's like this and putting it in pallets is it's going to be less space. It's not going to take up as much space, so you're going to be able to condense your collection down from multiple drawers into just a few pallets. Another thing is, if you travel with a lot of makeup or you're a makeup artist, anything like that, then I'm sure you either already depot or you have tons of pro pans filled with, and pallets filled with all of those, but these little like plastic packages may only weigh a few ounces, but when you have a lot of them, they're going to start to build up a lot of weight. So if you're going to travel with a lot of makeup, lightening the load you have to carry is going to be the best thing. So getting rid of all this excess packaging is going to be one way to do that. This method works with all different kinds of packaging. It doesn't matter what brand it's from. You can do this with YSL, you can do it with MAC, Clinique, Chanel, anything like that. With Makeup Forever, I don't know how many people know this, because I know a lot do and then some won't, but with all of their eyeshadows that come in packaging like this, they're actually magnetized packaging. So it's got a magnet on the bottom, and the pan of eyeshadow actually just comes right out. They don't actually glue it in, so that's a thing to know if you didn't already. But for products that do have it glued in there, this is what you're going to need it for. And then there's actually just one last thing, and that's many different lines now sell palettes that you can buy, like empty palettes. Some have inserts that only fit their eyeshadows or blushes or whatever. A lot of the times you can just pop that insert out and just have it open and fit whatever you want in there. I have a video about this actually with Max 15 pan palette. You pop out the insert and that way you actually can fit like 27 eyeshadows instead of 15. There's many different places out there you can get palettes, so just keep an eye out for them. But with all of that said, let's just go right ahead and get this tutorial started. There's a few things you're going to need to do this, and that's going to be your flat iron or some heat source. I prefer the flat iron method because it's faster. I don't have to worry about candles or anything like that. So I have my flat iron and it's on. Then you're going to want parchment paper. And the reason that you're going to want parchment paper is this is going to set over the plate of the flat iron. So that way if the plastic melts a little too much, it won't stick to your flat iron. If any glue gets on there, if any other product gets on there, it's not going to ruin the parchment paper, and the parchment paper can stand the heat without catching on fire or burning or anything like that. So you can just use one sheet for however long you need to depot. So you can depot like 100 things, one sheet of parchment paper. Then you're going to need like an X-Acto knife, a toothpick, just any kind of object that you can use to wedge underneath the pan of whatever product you're using. Then you're also going to need alcohol of some sort. This is just regular rubbing alcohol. Then some little cotton pads. Of course, you're going to need whatever you're going to depot. We're going to do an eyeshadow and a cream blush because you can depot your cream products as well, but no one mentions that. And then some form of self-adhesive magnet. This one came in strips. I just cut it to a circle because I prefer to have them round, and you'll see why later. You can get self-adhesive magnets in like strips, you can get them in sheets, you can get them pre-cut into little circles. If you can find those, I would go ahead and get that because it's going to save you a little bit of time, and I think it's better. Then of course you're going to need some form of palette. There's a bunch of different ones right here, but what you use doesn't matter. Now when you depot, the first thing you need to do is you need to get this top plastic part out. So the way you do that is you just take your X-Acto knife or whatever you're going to use, screwdriver, doesn't matter, and then very carefully wedge it underneath, and then you're going to pop it out like so. Now on MAC eyeshadows, they have these little tabs right here on the sides. You can see that. So that's where you need to pop it out. But save this because you're going to need to get your label off. But once you have this part out, what you're going to do is take your flat iron and just set your parchment paper over it like that. So that way you have it covering the plate. Then you're just going to take your pan of eyeshadow and set it right on the plate. Now with this flat iron, I can actually do 2 pans of eyeshadow at once, just side by side. And I'm just going to let it set there for a second because the heat is now going to heat up the bottom and it's going to loosen up that glue. How long you leave it on there is going to depend on your flat iron and how hot it gets. But a really great way to tell when it's done, you'll notice that the sides will start to welt and melt downwards a little bit, and that's a good indication that it's pretty much time to take it off. And since I mentioned you can do this side by side, what I normally like to do is while I have that on, I take the back, which actually has the sticker part on it, and I just set that right next to it. So this pan has sat on there for quite a few seconds, a minute probably. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to set it right between the metal pan and the plastic and just wiggle a little bit. And then I'm going to pull back and you can see that just lifts right up. Now be very careful because the pan itself is very hot right now. And you can see there's a bunch of glue on there. That's how it's sticking to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip it upside down. And then I'm just going to let that cool off a little bit. Then I'm going to take this one off because this one only has to go on for a second. And then I'm going to take the X-Acto knife and put it right underneath the sticker and lift that up. And it'll actually have some adhesive left on it. You can see the shine on there. And that's going to be able to stick back onto the magnet. So now I'm done with this part. So what I can do is I can just take this little section, and if it hasn't melted too much, it'll pop right back in and close. If you have any uses for these when they're empty besides like the recycling program or anything like that, or if a line doesn't have it, like some people turn the stuff into jewelry and everything like that. So what you do with this is going to be up to you. The little eyeshadow pan has actually had time to dry now, or not dry, but cool down. So what I did is I took one of those little pads of cotton, I got alcohol on it, the rubbing alcohol, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub this on the glue, and this will actually remove the glue. So you can see that all the glue is removed now, and the reason I like to remove all the glue is because sometimes it'll be a little lumpy, and if you're going to put a magnet on there, then if it's lumpy, it's going to be too thick, and it might hit the top of your palette, which isn't fun, so it's just a little thing I like to do, is just remove it. But now that I have all of that off, I'm going to take my magnet and just adhere it to the back of the pan. Now that I have the magnet on the back, it's on secure, I'm going to take that sticker that I removed from the back of the eyeshadow container, and since it still has adhesive on it, I'm going to stick that onto the bottom of my eyeshadow. Then once the sticker's on the back, I can just take my palette and pop it right in there, and you can see it stays and it's secure. Now for cream-based products, this is a blush cream. You can depot these as well. It's slightly different because since this is a cream, once it heats up, it turns into a liquid. And if you do it too quickly, it might pour out all over the place, make a mess. But it's pretty similar. You're going to take it and set it on your flat iron. So this is set for quite a bit, so I'm going to take it off, and you can see that it is melted and the product is moving around. I probably shouldn't have done that because now it's going to be all over, but that's okay, you get the point. So I'm actually going to let that sit for a second before I actually try to take the pan out. The glue will stay warm for a while, especially since the pan is metal. It's going to hold heat a little bit longer. So I'm going to give this a little bit of time to kind of solidify again, so that way it's not going to pour all over the place and it's not going to make a huge mess. So just go ahead, let that cool down for just a few seconds, a minute or two. Okay, this has not actually cooled off completely, but it's solid enough that I can actually work with it without it being completely liquid. So I'm just going to do the same thing and put the X-Acto knife in there and pry it out. But instead of storing this one upside down, I'm going to store it right side up. Then I'm just going to let that cool completely before I do the same thing I did before. Just rub the back with alcohol and slap the sticker with the magnet on the back. Hope this was helpful to some of you guys, and until the next video, I'll talk to all of you soon. Bye.